Peace, everybody. It's your boy Trader Creator. Today is Thursday, November 6th, 2020, and welcome to Creators Corner. This is week, I believe, number 6 for us, I think. But again, welcome. Please like and subscribe the video, to the video, as well as hit the notification bell, share the video. Again, please like and subscribe. Let's get started. So there has been a lot of different things that have transpired, I want to say, over the past 2 days. Why? Because of the presidential election. Man, everybody is losing their minds over this presidential election. Man, I've seen a divide in this country for some time now, and people didn't listen to me. Of course, I've been telling people before I even started this channel what America was probably planning to do, and we can see that it's manifesting right now. White people going crazy, black people nervous as shit about this candidacy. Shout out to Reza Islam. He said basically that a couple days ago that we should stock them on water. So I would tell everybody that if you haven't, stock them on water, toiletries, food. If you're a gun owner, bullets. Make sure you have what you need to protect your family first, because whoever is elected, this country will never be the same. And this past couple days have proven that. Like I said, white people going crazy, black people are super nervous. There's so much what's the word I'm looking for? So much confusion and chaos going on in this country right now, all because of one man, or two men, but one man getting the presidential office. I've seen people acting like Satan is gonna be elected. Satan is God. I mean, Satan is gonna be elected if Trump wins, or if Biden wins, white people are gonna start shooting. I've just seen so much chaos, and it's crazy, man. So everybody stay safe. Now, the past couple of days, I've been called a series of names. I've been called a coon. I've been called a sellout. I've been called lost, stupid, whatever. If you know me, you know how I feel about my people, and I just find it funny. It's on social media, so I'm not really worried about it. I'm willing to take the bullets that people are not willing to accept, or just people are just unaware of certain things, and me being knowledgeable of certain things. You know what I'm saying? When you know more, stuff is put on your shoulders, essentially, when you are trying to wake people up. You know what I'm saying? People not going to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. I understand that. It's just been crazy. You know what I'm saying? Cube put out earlier today that, he tried to actually get Black America $500 million, and everybody demonized him for doing so. But Joe Biden is not giving us anything, and he's getting all the praise. And I agreed with him. You understand what I'm saying? We're not saying to support Trump or Joe Biden. We're just telling black we need to move differently in this political landscape, because what they're planning is crazy right now. Joe Biden has said his first order of business in his first 100 days is to legalize 11 million illegal immigrants in this country. That would mean that our political voices would get smaller in this country. You're already 13% of the population. White people are becoming a minority in this country. In the next couple of years, this will be a more majority brown country. We are not putting the pieces together. They will no longer need us. They will no longer need our voices, because we are voting in someone who does not care for our voices. Or either way it goes, whether Trump or Biden wins, neither party has our interests at heart. And I try to tell people that, but it's cool. You understand what I'm saying? I believe one day we will get it. There's enough of us out here that do get it. Shout out to everybody that did not vote. Shout out to everybody that, you know what I'm saying, is like-minded thinkers, who are proactive, who are somewhat trying to start a revolution with black people. You know what I'm saying? We need your constant support. My goal as a black man is to find more black people with like mindsets as me. Also want to say shout out. I can't forget the family's name, but I'll make sure to tag them on Instagram and on the YouTube video for this shirt. In the new independent business, a family started a business for their daughters. I was like, y'all gotta support that. That goes to my next point. We need to support black businesses. You understand what I'm saying? We can't be running around here talking about we need to vote when we're not supporting black owned businesses. Come on, we need to always support black businesses. So shout out to that sister, shout out to that family. I'm gonna make sure that more people know about your business. I can't think of the name right now. There's been a lot that's been going on. I've been having to do hella notes and shit like that, but nonetheless, shout out to you all. So where do I want to start? We're gonna pick up from last week, because I think that everything I will touch on in this video will somewhat bring it all together on why this system is flawed and it never was meant for us to begin with. And you know what I'm saying, people need to know notes. It's serious, man. When you want to do scholarship, you know what I'm saying, when you know what I'm saying, I guess I have a whole bunch of information in my head, but it's nothing like having notes. You know what I'm saying? It keeps you on track. It keeps you, you know what I'm saying, grounded in what you're trying to say. So just letting people know it's real out here. You know what I'm saying? I have like 4 more of these. You feel what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. But let's get started. Last week we ended with, I believe, how the country, first of all, name of the video, of course, in the series is Money, Power, Respect. America does not give a fuck about you. Now, what I last spoke on, I believe, was 9/11 and how America essentially got a patsy, Osama bin Laden, to take the fall for it. And of course, I also said that he was a CIA agent. You can look this up. His name was Tim Osman. And I think I left the video also with saying, look up a term called parens patriae, meaning the government as your parent. And basically that's what it means in Black's Law Dictionary. This government has done a hell of a job of making us incompetent, and that's essentially where I'm gonna pick up at. Parens patriae basically means that the state is your guardian because you are mentally unable to think for yourselves, essentially. And according to 1933, the United States declared a state of emergency. I'm going to say it again. In 1933, the United States declared a state of emergency, basically stating that the citizens are incompetent. They implemented that policy with the Emergencies War Act in 1933, along with the Federal Reserve. Now, this is what the government thinks about you, and we have to know the law in order to understand what this government is trying to do. America doesn't give a fuck about you. America has put multiple policies in place to keep you sound asleep and unaware of what's going on around you. In 1933, America went bankrupt. You understand what I'm saying? Like, America went bankrupt. So this is why they did the Emergency War Power Act, and this is the reason why they brought the Federal Reserve came in, essentially to save the U.S. And I touched on this last week. You as the citizen became the collateral, essentially. Now let's keep it pushing. I said the assets, of course, of the U.S. are its citizens, and essentially, when I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, when a company files a bankruptcy, the assets are turned over to an estate. The estate essentially was the Federal Reserve for the United States, and the assets were the people. Now, let's keep it pushing. The trustee, like I said, was the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve agreed to take the assets. Basically, a corporation can only take the assets of another corporation. That's just simply put in business how it goes. As I said before, the United States is a corporation. It's not a sovereign country anymore due to the fact that it's a corporation and it's owned by multiple different entities, especially the Federal Reserve. The U.S. has no other assets besides the people. The boats, the ships, the planes, the buildings all mean nothing. The assets are in the people, essentially. The people are the assets. Let's see. Now, let's talk about the 14th Amendment for a second. I'm going to make sure to put the 14th Amendment on the screen for people to actually be able to see. Now, the 14th Amendment was created to make Negroes basically turn into assets and to turn their assets over to the Federal Reserve or to the United States. That's essentially why it was created, not the little bullshit that people think it does. No. So, basically, the 14th Amendment states the subjects of the U.S. now become the collateral for the debt owed to the Federal Reserve. What are the assets of the United States? I'm going to say that one more time. Basically, the Federal Reserve was created to turn the assets of the United States over to the Federal Reserve. Your ass is the asset. And this speaks to, most people don't even know that, what I just said. You know what I'm saying? We think we know what's going on out here, but we don't. We're sound asleep. That's the reason why this whole political landscape and our political voting candor is just so all over the damn place, because we don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, a person like me giving information sounds like a fool or a conspiracy theorist, but in fact, this is law. This is not something I'm making up. You can look this shit up for your damn self. But let's keep it pushing. Now you know that you are responsible for the debt of the United States. Last week I said the debt was well over $1 trillion, and I think I said the U.S. population was like 300 million, something like that. I can't remember what I said the population was, but basically people have always been, well, black people always have been, but ever since the the Social Security Act, everyone in the United States has been declared slaves. That's why you have the birth certificate. I touched on the straw man last week, and what the straw man basically means is a fictitious entity, and essentially your straw man is it's your front man, but you take all the damage and all, how can I put this? Your straw man will basically be like your scarecrow man, or whatever the case is, but you as the person catch all the blows. If you look, I said this before, we look on all your official, and let's say you get a banking something from the bank, or your driver's license, or on your Social Security card, your name is in all capital letters. That's your straw man's name. But you as the person, let's say you commit, perjury or fraud, your straw man name is on the paper, but you still go to jail because that's you at the end of the day. It's two U's. You understand what I'm saying? On your credit report, your name is always going to be capitalized. That's essentially how America works ever since the Federal Reserve came with the power. But let's keep it pushing. Like I said, once again, you've always been a slave, essentially. A man by the name of James Travican, a senator in Ohio, on March 17, 1933, he basically gave a speech. And basically, let me find this letter right quick. I should already had it up. Let me find it right quick. The United States Congressional Record March, March 17th, 1933. Alright. Basically says, Mr. Speaker, we are now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are officially, trustees. Members of Congress are official. I can't talk. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest recognition of bankruptcy entity in the world, the U.S. government. We are seeing make this shit bigger. We are setting forth hopefully a blueprint of the future. There are some who say this coroner's report will lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act of March 9th, 1933. 48 Stat 1, Public Law 889-791, declared by President Roosevelt, being bankrupt and insolvent. Now, like I said, the United States went bankrupt and basically turned over the United States to the Federal Reserve. But let's keep it pushing. And like I said, make sure to have this on the screen so you can see everything basically that I'm saying. Alright, now, joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and all the official capacities of the United States government offices and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only, because there is no United States of America. It's a company now. It's no longer a country. Alright. The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers. Who are the international bankers? Federal Reserve. Now, via the United States, the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, all United States offices, officials, departments are now operating within the de facto status name only under the emergency war powers. The constitutional Republican form of government is dissolved. The receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government in the United States. This new form of government is known as a democracy. Come on now. What more do I need to say about this American system? Like, I'm gonna make sure to put this link in the description so everybody can read it, but I gotta keep it pushing. Now let's talk about him, this guy James Travican, some more. Basically, he was killed. Actually, let's talk about that. He was killed a few years later, and hold up, shit. My notes is all over the damn place. Hold on. In 2002, he was found guilty of and convicted of 10 charges, which included bribery, fraud, and racketeering. Now, what did he do to deserve that? It's not necessarily what he did, but it's why he did it and who he did it against. He basically spoke out against the people who put him in power. The Federal Reserve put that man in place. They funded his campaign, and once he went against them, now all the political money that he got from them, all the funding and shit, became bribery, racketeering, and illegal and bribing. But they funded his campaign. Come on, man. This man did a whole speech exposing everything. Life put to ruin because he spoke the truth. If speaking the truth paid the bills, more people would do it. But this is the reason why nobody speaks the truth nowadays. Come on. But let's keep it pushing. The United States disestablished or dissolved in the Banking Act of 1933. I've already went over this, but I have to keep driving this point home to let the people know there is no United States anymore. As you may think, it's a company. It's not a country, it's a company. But let's keep it pushing. The U.S. once a sovereign authority is now owned and is the property of the Jew Mafia, aka the Federal Reserve. Now let's touch on. Damn it, I keep forgetting this shit downstairs. But let's touch on the money again, the Federal Reserve note. Now, for those who do not know, the money that we have nowadays, there's only probably 0.1 or 0.2% of real paper money in circulation. And if you know what I'm talking about silver certificates. The Federal Reserve notes that we have, it's going to be on the screen, is not real money. It's not. It's a Federal Reserve note. If you look at it, it says on the top Federal Reserve note. If you have a silver certificate, if you have a silver or gold bullion, if you have basically if you have real gold or anything that says United States note on it, essentially that is real money. And it is legal tender. And if you read on it, it says it's legal tender to be paid for payment by the U.S. And that's basically what it says on the silver certificate, meaning you can get an equal value of gold on it. I'm not talking about the Federal Reserve notes. Those are worth nothing. You take that to the bank, your ass is gonna get 4 fucking copper quarters or lead, whatever the fuck them shit's made. It's better off in your fireplace than anything. But if you have a silver certificate, that is real money. Because, as I touched on last week, JFK, in his executive order 11110, and I'm gonna put this on the screen too because I'm actually looking into getting some of these silver certificates. I'm thinking about getting a few of them. And one thing to note about them too, you can get a $1 bill silver certificate and it's gonna cost you $13. Some of them going for $45. Some of them going for $75. Some of them going for $100. $1 bills. This is real money. These on the website I'm getting this from, and I'm giving people free game right now. It's saying you can take this to the bank and get, your money's worth, but it's more valuable to hold on to these because it's real money, people. It's a rare camaraderie. This goes to that executive order. When JFK signed order executive 11110, this gave the U.S. the power to print its own money. That money was silver certificates. JFK basically took the Federal Reserve, or the J Mafia, he signed them out of the U.S. essentially and gave the U.S. back its own power essentially. And we all know pretty much what happened to him. And that this speaks to all the even though the Kennedy family had all this power, all this money, all of this astute to them, means nothing when you messing with these people money. The Federal Reserve got rid of this nigga. Yeah, man, like I said, Federal Reserve notes are not money. If you're walking around with these little greenbacks in your wallet, if the Federal Reserve was to ever recall their notes, it will be worth nothing. But as you can see, and I'm telling you, and I putting on the screen, silver bullions or silver certificates or those little gold dollars, that's real money. Not this little bullshit Federal Reserve note. No. These items on the screen are real money, people. But also need to put this say this too. JFK brought in basically $4.3 billion of U.S. notes into the hands of U.S. citizens. That's how much money he printed based off of what was in the United States Treasury at that time. Once he was killed and Lyndon B. Johnson, I think that's the nigga name, basically took that act off the out of play and signed the Federal Reserve back into power. All that money got recalled and back in, and that's why another reason why it's so much money just to even get a $1 bill, because it's rare and it's real money. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it means something, whereas this one little dollar means nothing. But let's keep pushing. Not to mention, presidents actually can reinstate that, that bill if they wanted to, just with a sign of a pen. But each president knows not to, because, like I said, if speaking the truth or doing what was right paid the bills, more people would do it. But because each president knows, up until JFK, well, ever since JFK, not to do that, won't do it, because they'll kill your kill you. They can kill your family. They can do a bunch of other stuff. You don't mess with these people's money. And this just goes to show that the president, while he may have power, is just a puppet on the string, because they don't do anything about that. The U.S. could print its own money. We talk about the national debt. It could be gone just like that. But the United States and the people who are in the front people of the United States are puppets, essentially. But let's keep it pushing. Where do I want to go from here? I already touched on Lyndon B. Johnson putting the power of the Federal Reserve back into the United States. Now let's go back to keep talking about the straw man. Before 1935, and I've said this already, before 1935, only blacks were U.S. citizens. We know this already. After 1935 and the Social Security Act, everybody became citizens. Now let's talk about what white people were before they were citizens. Before they became citizens. White people were sovereign, essentially. If you, this is the reason why they never could get in trouble for killing black people. Of course, America's first business was racism. But if you ever seen like one of those like Western movies or something where two people could, shoot each other in cold blood in the street, and neither the person who killed them never goes to jail, it's because that's what they could do back then and not have to really deal with any consequences. They were sovereign, essentially. And basically, America bullied white people. Well, not necessarily bullied. It tricked them into giving up their sovereignty, because, again, you understand what I'm saying? America was going through a depression at the time, and the Federal Reserve wanted to get in. Also, by the way, the Great Depression was a front show also. That also was caused by the Federal Reserve. Now, the government also tries to say, it's a lot of stuff I need to touch on. I'm kind of juggling all over the place here. But let's talk about rights for a second. There is no right a man can give you that you should already have been born with. I'm gonna say it again. There's no right a man can give you that you have already been born with. When you are born, you should already be born with rights due to you being a human being, not because man decides for you to have rights. You're born a human being. You're born with, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, 5 fingers, teeth, 1 nose, 1 set of lips, 2 ears. You're born human. So the fact that man essentially, and they like to sit here and put it on God's divine, thing of rights. But what about slavery then? But oh yeah, they said we weren't considered human at one point. But people gloss over that. They said that you weren't considered human per God. But God somehow told them they need to let us go and free us. Bullshit. That's why I tell people there are no rights that a man can give you that you should have already been born with. You're born a human being. But let's keep it pushing. Where do I want to go from here? Like I said, white people were sovereign before the Social Security Act, and basically since the US was going broke, and people were desperate, people were losing their homes because America was basically forcing them to have to give up their sovereignty, and they basically made people sign UCCC1 filing statements and basically changed their status from a sovereign to a US citizen. They bullied them essentially. Basically gave people no other outlet other than to become a US citizen. And I'll say that one more time. They made, they agreed to assist people who were going broke by making them sign the UCC1 filing statements and having them change their social status to from a sovereign to a citizen. And by doing so, it put them under the authority and jurisdiction of the U.S. government, or better yet, the Federal Reserve. Now, under that Social Security Act that was passed, everyone became U.S. citizens. Let's keep it pushing. Citizens now, again, are assets of the United States. When a child is born, that is money generated. Your parents, now let's put this in perspective. Your parents will buy things, crib, what else? Baby bottles, baby equipment. They gotta have a baby shower. That's money being spent. That's bread being put back into the economy or the U.S. government, essentially taxes, essentially. And even when that baby is born, you generate billions of dollars. You understand what I'm saying? You, by the time you live your life, and basically, when you're born and you live your life, let's say to 65, 75, you will have generated over $1 million in tax money for the United States. And it is guaranteed that you will pay that money 100%. So, they also sell your birth certificate to China and different countries, and basically say that, you're going to pay that, 1 million or 100 million in your lifetime, and that they only want, let's say, 20 million from that. Now, there are over 4 million babies born in America in a year. Do the math. You understand what I'm saying? Think about how much money that is. I mean, even we're saying 1 million or 10 million, 100 million that you're paying, possibly in taxes. Multiply that times 40 million babies born in America a year. You understand what I'm saying? Even if it's a little more or less, it's still a sufficient number to where they're basically going to make money off of you per year. It's not about you per se, continuing to be a U.S. citizen. It's about, they look at you as a dollar sign. That's essentially what you are. That's all you are. You're a dollar sign to them. This all goes to the reason why I always say that they always, and it's, I also need to touch on this too, because I know black people sit here and think that, oh well, they want us to keep sitting here making baby. No, think about this here for a second. Most black people are born into poverty. What usage is a black baby that's probably going to be in debt his whole life to the U.S. government? this puts a whole new aspects on police shootings then, and why more black people, you know what I'm saying, have the issues with hospitals upon birth and stuff like that. Because 9 times out of 10, well, not 9 times out of 10, because some black people do have money, but majority of the time a black baby will be born into debt. The mama don't have the money, the dad ain't around, the family has no generational wealth. Why would we sit here and allow this baby to come into the earth knowing it's not going to be able to put back into the US system? Now let's go another step deeper with this. White people are having a negative birth rate right now. They're dying off. They're not able to keep up with their majority status in the United States. So this is the reason why their fertility, and I'm going somewhere else with this, and I really don't need my notes for this. This comes off the top of the head. Now, this is why fertility clinics are popping up and so prominent in today's society, because it's to get that white birth rate back up. Because we all know that black genes are the dominant gene, and seeing that black genes are the dominant gene, this is the reason why they have Planned Parenthood in our neighborhoods. Because Planned Parenthood basically is to make us basically abort ourselves out of relevance in this country, and fertility clinics are meant to basically stabilize and increase the amount of white babies in society, because white people, like I said, are the negative birth rate due to the a plethora of things, nature being number one. They have the most recessive genes of any of the races. If black sleeps with white, the child's gonna be black. If white Alright, now if you mix anything, again, because my video feed went out, if you mix anything with black, basically, it will be black. You mix anything with white, it will be other than white. So again, Chinese with white will be Chinese, Mexican with white will be Mexican, Arab with white will be Arab. It's because they have the most recessive genes on the planet, and this just speaks to basically why they need to, how can I put this? This basically speaks to why they sit here and, like I said, have fertility clinics all over the United States, and have them specifically for them, and give us Planned Parenthood. And Planned Parenthood was invented by a eugenicist, a white woman by the name of Margaret Sanger. She did not care for black people. She wanted to depopulate us and wanted us gone out of the equation. Why? Because she wanted to increase the power and numbers of the white, or better yet, Aryan race. But all that there is another topic for another day. Let's keep this shit pushing. Where did I leave off with my notes? So again, I was saying basically they sell our information to China, and basically, you know what I'm saying, how you're essentially born into debt, and if you're black, you're especially born into debt, and that's the reason why they kill us. Let's keep it pushing though. I want to touch on, do I want to touch on that yet? No, I think I'll touch on that in the conclusion of this video. So basically, the US uses interest, not the principal. I stated that last week. To use, basically pay the Federal Reserve. Now, the U.S. implemented something called International Maritime Law, which basically means law of the water, and makes it now the law of the land. So again, International Maritime Law, it's the law of the water now made into the law of the land. Let's break this down a little bit more. Now, how they did this was, according to law, all ships are females. It's essentially, you know what I'm saying, if you ever watch any Pirates of the Caribbean or anything like that, you know, that there she blows, or, you know, they call the, you know, the ship essentially a female essentially. Now when, you know, the ships dock at the port, basically people say that it's an act of giving birth at the dock essentially. And let's say the ship is carrying, I don't know, refrigerators, or I don't know, TVs, or pianos. Whatever the fuck it's carrying. All of those have to have a certificate of manifest, because now it's here and it wasn't here yesterday. So when a ship basically comes to this country, it basically, all of these things basically apply. Now they have to have the certificate of manifest, because taxes are going to be paid on those items: refrigerators, TVs, pianos, and etc. So it must have a certificate. Same rule applies for your mother or my mother or whoever's mother. Excuse me. When your mom gives birth to you at the dock, you are born. And you are born to have a birth certificate, because later you will be paying taxes to the government or the Federal Reserve. It's full circle, essentially. Like I said, basically you are a product or asset or collateral or an international maritime product. Now, technically speaking, you're not really supposed to go to court. I've been to court, you know what I'm saying, traffic tickets, whatever the case is, but you should not have to go to court unless you are robbing, stealing, or shit like that, or do a breach of contract. Outside of that, you really shouldn't be going to court according to the Constitution. If you ever notice, in court there is a brown bar, and it looks similar to the bar that you would see on, you know, like old wooden ships, Pirates of the Caribbean. The only thing that comes to my mind, there's a wooden bar there, and it's basically on all the ships. When you get on the ship, you pass the bar. Now, another coincidence: ships fly flags, courts fly flags. The judge sits on the bench, and the Latin word for bench is bank. Where did we find banks? On rivers. That's where you get the term riverbank. So basically, the riverbank directs the flow of the current of the sea, and basically, in other words, currency. So let's put this all together. That's not a play on words, by the way. It's all designed after international maritime laws were passed. The law of the water is now the law of the land. And I'm reading basically out of my notes, but essentially, the judge is there because someone is going to be paying money. He's a representation of the bank, essentially. If you ever went to court for a traffic ticket, or I don't know, anything, 9 times out of 10 you can be paying some money. It ain't no little 50, 20. It's usually a couple $100. You understand what I'm saying? But let's keep it pushing. Whoever wins will be paying money. Whoever wins or loses, someone will be paying money. So basically, he's gonna get paid regardless of what's going down. You know what I'm saying? You could be going to court, I don't know, for a lawsuit. Whoever loses usually pays the money. But bottom line is, somebody's gonna be paying the money. He's the representation of the bank. That's simply put what it is. Now, when you go to court and you say that you are here, you have just agreed to represent your straw man. Now, this puts a whole new perspective on your kids, essentially. They don't tell you this, but this is why they sit here and tell you to, you know what I'm saying, send your kids to school, make sure they wear a helmet when they're riding a bike, make sure that they have proper health care, that they are adequately housed, they're not in poverty, they're getting a good education. All of this essentially because they want to protect their investment. And what do they do when they see that you are not taking care of your child or their investment, just get child services on your ass. Take your kids, give them to somebody who may be able to raise them properly. And 9 times out of 10, it's a white family. That puts a whole new spin on adoption. Then you raise a bunch of Negroes who don't care for their community and just gonna give all the money that they, earn, because they gonna make some money, but get all that money they gonna earn and put it right back into white people pockets. That's puts a whole new spin on everything. But let's keep it pushing. They basically want their investment to mature, like mutual funds or stock certificates or bonds. Essentially, they want their ROI, return on investment, to basically continue to grow. It's not about you raising your kids to be the best, doctor in the state of Florida or state of Georgia. No, it's about them growing up to pay taxes for the national debt, essentially. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, or not 9 times out of 10, but chances are when you're black, you're in an impoverished situation. So they're gonna kill it. This is why being black is so hard, because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna deal with a situation with a racist police officer or someone that's white and has a white supremacist mindset, and this just speaks to that again. You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot of different things, and I'm going all over the places, but I'm trying to drive this point home that America does not give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about white people that much either. If you're poor, you're fucked, essentially, if you're white. But they don't give a fuck about you if you black, because they don't. If you can't make them no money, what use are you? When you're born into debt. You understand what I'm saying? That's just simply put what it is. If your mama's working at, fucking McDonald's, and your dad is working at, a manager at Popeye's Chicken, they're not bringing home any money. 9 times out of 10, you won't be bringing home no money. And especially if you grow up in a single parent household with more than one child living off welfare, they're getting government benefits. Come on, let's put it together, man. Let's put this shit together, man. They're giving you money basically to be poor, and then they kill you because you're poor and can't make any money, and you're an asset and a liability to the country. I just gave the whole video away in that statement, but let's keep it pushing right quick. Now let's touch on this, because this got me in trouble on Twitter earlier, and I think I'm the number one responded to person on Ice Cube's post on Twitter right now. Joe Biden has a plan. I don't know if I said this already in the video, but I have to say this again. Joe Biden has a plan to bring in at least 11 million, not bring in, to give citizenship to 11 million illegal immigrants. Now, I want people to understand that, for one, these people don't know what they're signing up for. They think they just come to America and get benefits. But no, they're bringing these people in essentially because, like I said, white. If you're white in America, this is why I always tell people America is a casting system disguised as a class system. White will always be number one. Chinese, the Arab, the Mexican, they're fine with being number 2, 3, 4 as long as they're not at the bottom. Everybody knows what it is when you're black. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're Caribbean, whether you're Jamaican, Puerto Rican, Ghanaian, African, British, if you're black, you're always going to be at the bottom. If you're African American, you're always going to be at the bottom. It does not matter what you do, because the color of your skin, you will always have the odds stacked against you. Now, there's two sides to this immigration thing that he's doing. For one, black people don't realize, and I need to say this too, black people don't realize that Joe Biden is finna literally move black people out of the political landscape. He's finna make us irrelevant, essentially, because I think it's like, let me look this up right quick, because I need to do this, because I want to make sure I give an accurate assessment essentially of this. Now, let's look up how many African Americans are there in the United States. How many African Americans are in the United States? 13.4% of the population. There is, Now, the black population in America, according to black demographics, in 2019, there was an estimated a little over 48 million African Americans in this country. Now, I'm of the mindset that, of course, there are more of us, but nonetheless, that's 48 million of us. He's finna bring in 11 million immigrants and make them U.S. citizens. That number will again increase the U.S. one, that's going to increase the U.S. debt. Let's go ahead and put that out the way right there. These people don't realize they're finna become debt citizens, but that's besides the point. Now, what they're basically finna do is move black people out of the political and social status that we have, because we will no longer be the majority minority in this country. They're gonna make someone else the majority minority in this country, and that's already happening as we speak. So essentially, because white people are dwindling in numbers, they have to have all of these buffer classes to sit here. Tariq Nasheed explains this shit the best. Basically, they're going to have a bunch of buffer. They already have them, but they're just going to increase the buffer class amount, because again, America's a casting system. When you're black, you're on the bottom. When you're white, you're on the top, and everybody else can be flux between the middle, essentially. You understand what I'm saying? America, that's America's first order of business, keeping black people on the bottom. You understand what I'm saying? Black people might have just voted as if Biden wins. If he wins, we literally just might have given away all our political power, essentially. But let's keep it pushing, because I don't want to keep talking about Joe Biden. Now, I also said that, I don't know if I said this already, when those immigrants get citizenship, they'll be paying taxes here. And since they're being in their being here, they're not paying taxes here because they're illegal immigrants. They don't have a social security card. They don't have to go have certain documentation that American citizens have in order to pay taxes. It's, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they can't get a credit card. You understand? They can't get certain things that, you know, citizens can get. You know what I'm saying? Because when you swipe your card, essentially, you pay taxes. When you paying with cash for everything, yeah, you paying taxes, but not necessarily, and they're not really able to track it, essentially. Now, let's sit here and talk about something that people may not be. Another thing, there's a lot of things people are not aware of, but I think I should touch on this also. The truth is always put in plain sight. I'm gonna always say that, and everything that I essentially said in this video can be found in a movie. A lot of things can be found in movies. The Matrix is one of the movies I'm predominantly advocate. Get Out is another one. The Purge is another movie I tell people need to watch. I think it's 1986, whatever the name of that movie is, talking about Big Brother. That's another movie people need to watch. But let's talk about The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz was originally a book. It was a book that was done by Frank Baum in 1939. I think it was like 1933, and then was made a movie in 1939. I'll make sure to put all that on the screen. Now let's talk about who represents what and how it correlates with this system we're talking about right now. Dorothy represents the people. The ruby slippers represents the power. Now the people essentially they have the power, but we don't know how to use our power. I speak to that about black people. We have power. We really do. Like, I don't want people to sit here and say that we don't have. We have power. We just don't know how to use that shit. So does the rest of the U.S. Have power, but don't know how to use that shit. Now, the Wicked Witch of the East represents the dead corporations that went out, that basically went under due to the Great Depression, and basically that's what that is. The Wicked Witch of the West represents the banking houses or the royal class of London, essentially. The Good Witch represents the Senate and the power they have but do not use. Now, remember, the Good Witch tells Dorothy at the end of the movie basically how to get home. Click your heels, essentially, and you can go home. But the question you have to ask is, why did she not tell her that from the beginning? I'm going to touch on that later. Let's see. Like I said, she does not just come out and tell Dorothy how to get home. The yellow brick road, this represents, it looks like gold, of course. If you really look at it, it looks like a gold road. And the gold road leads to the Emerald City. Why is it green? Because it represents the Federal Reserve. Now, let's touch on Toto. Toto means everything. Remember, the witch said, I'll get you and that little dog too. Remember, the witch wants to take the power from the people, and the power is in the ruby slippers. In the book also, the slippers are silver. They keep going and run into the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow, simply put, represents the straw man, which is you. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Straw man meaning you. The straw man needs a brain. What do I tell about black people? We're lost. we don't think. We have brains. We don't use them. They just, it ties together so well. Now the Tin Man, Tax ID Man, also represents you. He's old and rusted and has no heart, and basically, if he had one, he probably would figure this all out, but he's too rusty really too, because he's been working all these years and really hasn't amassed anything or done anything. He's old and rusted. The Cowardly Lion. Now, the Cowardly Lion also represents the Senate and the courts. Again, if you the Senate representing the Lion representing the Senate and the courts, these people, should be able to actually pass laws to benefit the people. Like, I'm a big advocate of free healthcare. Healthcare should be free. You shouldn't be paying hundreds of dollars a month for healthcare. Being healthy should be an American priority, but it's not. You have to pay. You have to pay to be well in America. You know what I'm saying? What is organic food? What was food 500 to 1,000 years ago? It was just food. It wasn't organic. It was naturally grown. Nowadays, everything is genetically modified, and now you have to pay extra to be healthy. The government can implement policies to help with that type of stuff, but like the Cowardly Lion, they won't. And also, if you look in front of all of these court buildings, you will always see a stone lion. The lion has the ability to do a lot of different things. Especially in the movie, the lion was able to defeat the monkeys, but he didn't do so because he was a wimp and he was a coward. Now, also, another side note, the monkey represents the Senate and politicians too. In the 30s, they would have in some comics, they would have monkeys represent politicians, but that's a little besides the point. Now, finally, they get to Oz, and the wizard, basically, as we all know, was faking and all that other type of stuff. If you've seen the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, I probably just gave it all away to you. But the wizard himself would be the head of the Federal Reserve Bank, that is tricking everyone to believing that he's powerful. That's a double entendre. Essentially, the Federal Reserve tricks people into thinking they have the power when they really don't. The people have the power, and The Wizard of Oz, representing the Federal Reserve, has everyone in the land thinking that he's this great wizard, when in fact he's just a normal man, essentially. He represents the Illuminati, essentially, and I'm going to touch on the Illuminati a little bit later on, because I'm almost done with everything I need to talk about. But now let's talk about Oz. Oz, O-Z, meaning ounces, the power of gold in ounces. That's not a play on words. That's simply put what it means. The movie shows you basically to pay attention to everything. And if I told you who everything was the dog. And if you pay attention to everything, you'll figure this out. Remember, everything is the one who pulled back the curtain, revealing the secret of Oz just being a man and everything being fake, essentially. Now, when everything gets revealed, he bitches up, of course, like most people do. Now, he bitches up. He gives the Scarecrow a certificate representing a birth certificate to the straw man. It says on the he's basically said it comes from, and I can't pronounce this goddamn word, and it's on your dollar bill. It's on your dollar bill on the back where the eagle is. I'll make sure to put that shit on the screen. Eploris Unium. I can't pronounce the word, but whatever the case, it'd be on the fucking screen. Where he said that certificate comes from in the movie is on the back of your dollar bill. Coincidence, huh? Now, it basically means one from many. He gives the Tin Man a heart, and it basically has a rope attached to it, and it basically means a clock, basically saying that your time is almost up. You're old and rusty, you're finna die. Essentially, you've served the purpose of what you need to do, and now essentially you're finna die. Now notice, they don't punish the wizard, they let him go. Why did they let him go? The same way we as people, black people specifically, always forgive our enemies that do us wrong and let them go and yada yada yada, and we never learn, and it keeps repeating again. We never think. We are too biblicized and too nice of a people. But let's keep it pushing. After all the shit he did, he caused a bunch of inflation in the land. He just so happens to leave in a balloon. He caused inflation and left on inflation. And this here, all of this speaks to because he didn't do anything to change anything. He basically just left on good terms, and this speaks to something that these people in charge have something called plausible deniability, which means even if you figure this shit out, what difference do it make? We didn't know. That type of shit. And of course, at the end of the movie, Dorothy clicks her heels and goes home. And basically, because the wizard was no longer in power, the good witch finally was able to tell Dorothy how to go back home. Now, again, the Federal Reserve is in power. I'm going to take this back to JFK. JFK put the Federal Reserve out of power and gave the power back to the people. They killed him. This speaks to why the witch, or the good witch, could not tell Dorothy how to get home, because the Federal Reserve is in power. If this structure is in power, how can these people are never going to be able to say anything? They killed the man I was speaking about earlier, who actually spoke up against it. I forgot what the dude's name was, but he spoke up and got himself killed. Let me find his name so I actually can, give credence to this man. I can't find his damn name. James Travican. Yeah, him. He basically spoke out against the Federal Reserve, and they killed him. What do you think in the movie that the wizard would have done to the witch if she had spoken out? He would have killed her. You understand what I'm saying? If speaking, the truth was actually something that people, found to be, what's the word I'm looking for, profitable and, easy to do, they would do it. But people sit here and go along with the matrix and go along with the game. And you understand, of course, Dorothy wakes up, and you know what I'm saying, she realizes that she was asleep. Now that can mean one or two things. All of that shit she dreamed, that means that none of this shit is real. It's all bullshit, and they have us thinking one way when it's really another way. And this leads me to the conclusion part of my video. I want people really to sit here and think for a second. This government does not care about us. It never has. It never will. Especially if you're black. If you're black, this system will never be in favor for you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just simply put what it is. But let's I want to touch on something that I've been thinking about lately, and it kind of goes outside of, you know what I'm saying, my notes per se. Now, I believe it was Bush or Obama who spoke about China devaluing its yuan in the early 2000s. I think Obama spoke on it too. Basically, China took the wealth. It went to, not the wealth, it took their resources, their banks, excuse me, went to Africa, set up shop, and is now in Africa, taking all the resources from Africa. This is the reason why you see all these, Chinese people, you know what I'm saying, in Africa building, you know what I'm saying, they're paying, you know what I'm saying, the Africans money essentially for their land. Now, let's also touch on, I think it was Korea, but I'm pretty sure it's other countries also. No, I think it was Indonesia. In Indonesia in the 90s, a family of, let's say, 10 can live off of $10 for the week. In America, we look at that as poverty. I want us to really sit here and think about that. These people could live off of $10. Imagine what we do for $100, $1,000. They do it for $10. What government system is better off or has more power over their country to where, you understand what I'm saying? People in China can be getting paid. It may cost $15 to sit here and build a Nike or Jordan shoe, but they make you pay $200-$300 for it. For what? When to make the shoe only costs $15 and the people getting paid for it only getting paid pennies. What does that say about your country and the system that is in play? It's all bullshit, essentially. Because all of this money that we have, all this paper money, all of this internet money is trust, it's faith. If you don't, the standard of money is still silver and gold. If you don't have any silver or gold, you're broke. Realistically speaking, I have more money in this room than I have in my bank account. And I'm not going to say how much I have in my bank account, but this keyboard, for instance, I paid, I think, $210 for this keyboard. And it came with software. This keyboard can make me more money, essentially. I can sell this, you know what I'm saying, for something. My microphone, I have an AT2020 microphone. This is worth more money than anything that's in my bank account. I can have $1,000, $2,000 in my bank account, but it's all trust, essentially. There's nothing backing it. There is no gold in the U.S. banks anymore. There's nothing backing any of this. Everything in this room would be considered real money or real value. What's in your bank account is not real value or real currency or real money. It's trust. It's all faith based. You understand what I'm saying? And like I said, once again, if the Federal Reserve was to recall their notes, we wouldn't have any money. Your bank account will go to zero. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's all trust. And this is the system that is in place right now. And I think, and you know what I'm saying, with this whole election thing, people need to, this is why I tell black people we need to separate, because I think we need to unlearn and relearn some things that have just been, that we just don't know about. You understand? Most of us don't know about we know about the Illuminati. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they are. We don't know about the Bilderbergs. You know what I'm saying? The Rothschilds, the Wahlbergs. We don't know about any of this stuff. We don't know how to identify what's going on around us. We don't know about the what I'm saying, the Social Security Act. The maritime laws. We don't know about any of this stuff. All we know is go vote, go home, and hope for the best. We don't know anything, and this also just speaks to why I started this channel, because I want people to, and I'm not the best speaker. I know I'm not the best vocalist. I don't speak clear at times, but I'm trying to get people to wake the fuck up. You understand what I'm saying? Black people specifically, we need to wake up. African Americans specifically, we are lost out here, and you can tell by how we're acting in during this political campaign. We're more focused on one man that, at the end of the day, is not going to affect us directly. Yeah, he may affect us a little bit here and there, but we're focused on a man instead of each other. The Chinese, there should be an African American town in China, and not specifically in China, but specifically in Beijing. There should be an African American town there. There should be an African American town in Italy. Rome. There should be an African American town. There should be an African American town in France. There should be an African American town in London. There should be an African American town in Korea. There should be an African American town everywhere. But everybody comes over here to America, builds their infrastructure without even needing to vote. But they get the benefits that you go out and vote for. We the only people that sit here and think like this. These people come over here and get benefits that we vote for and that we fight for and we die for, and then build up shop and then build their communities up. And we can't build our communities. Then a nigga like me comes along and say, hey, we need to build our communities up. We need to stop voting. We need to pull our resources together. And a nigga like me sit here and get told, no, we don't need to do that. We need to vote and get Trump out of office. That's first. Like, what? Like, we're not astute people. And it's all good, you know what I'm saying, because more people like me, it's a lot of people like me out there. You understand what I'm saying? It's, and I'm just trying to do my part in helping my people wake the fuck up, essentially. And please, I think I'm gonna end the video here. Shout out to the sister for the shirt. But again, we have to think, people. We have to use our minds. We have to think again. If we're not thinking, what are we doing? Think, people. That's why I create this channel, for us to think. But nonetheless, man, like the video, subscribe to the channel, stay safe, get resources, get water, because America's gonna do whatever America's gonna do, and we don't know yet. We're running around here thinking and hoping what may happen, but are unsure. But stay safe, stay black, keep your head up. Shout out to all my supporters. Peace.